Alright, in this video we're going to compare the differences between plant and animal cells. So you should be able to list the organelles that you find in plant cells and list the organelles that you find in animal cells. That's your learning intention for this video. So here on the left we've got a typical animal cell and a typical plant. Remember though that cells are specialized, so there is no such thing as a typical cell because every cell looks different and they're specialized to do a particular job in the body. If it's a multicellular organism, that is. But we're looking at a generic type of cell now just to help us with the comparison. So it's actually easier to compare, look at plants first because plants have a few unique organelles just to them. And the first one is the cell wall. Animals don't have a cell wall, but plant cells do. Fungi do as well, and actually most bacteria do as well. So animals are quite unique because we don't have one. And remember, the cell wall gives structure to the cell and helps to make it so it doesn't need a skeleton in the plant, because plant cells can hold themselves up thanks to that cell wall. Plant cells also have a large vacuole, which remember is just a type of vesicle or vesicle, and it stores liquids and it stores chemicals for the plant cell, but it also acts like a giant balloon on the inside of the cell, and when it's full of water then it pushes outwards on the cell wall, and that helps to make the cell even more rigid so it can hold itself up. And the last and probably most important organelle that plant cells have are chloroplasts, which we should remember, that's where photosynthesis happens. That's where plant cells use sunlight to make their own food. And that's why plants are just amazing, because they don't have to go around and hunt for food. They can just sit there in the environment, they can use all that sunlight and just make their own food. So if you remember back to Year 7 science when you learnt about ecosystems, that's why plants and algae are always at the bottom of the food chain, because they're the ones that make their own food, they're the producers, and then every other species has to eat another species to get its food. So they're the consumers. Alright, let's look at the organelles that cells have in common, which are most of them, as it turns out. So plants and animals both have a cell membrane. In fact, every cell does. Every cell has cytoplasm because it needs liquid inside it to make all the organelles work properly. Every cell also has a nucleus. Well, animal and plants do anyway. We'll learn the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes later, but animals and plants are eukaryotes, and one of the reasons why is because they have a nucleus. Animals and plants both also have mitochondria. The mitochondria produces energy from food, and every cell, these two cells need it to get energy from food. They also both have a Golgi apparatus. Remember, that's like the shipping center where proteins go to be packaged and shipped away where they need to go. And so both cell types need to do that. They also both have a smooth endoplasmic reticulum and a rough endoplasmic reticulum, which we'll just call ER. So animals have them, and so do plants, because they all need to do those jobs. One of the most important other organelles are ribosomes. Every cell has to make protein, and so plant and animal cells have ribosomes. Every cell type also has ribosomes, including bacteria and fungi and others. We also have small vesicles. They're in animals and they're also in plants. They store chemicals and they carry chemicals where they need to go. And the final one we missed is the dark patch inside the nucleus. That's the nucleolus, remember, where ribosomes get made. And so animals and plants both need ribosomes, so they also have a nucleolus as well. So really, when you compare plants and animals, plants have 3 extra organelles, and that's enough to make them different, that they can have the lifestyle of being a plant and being a producer, whereas animals, we lack those 3 organelles, which means we have to be a consumer and we have to have a skeleton.